So, you want to become better at XDefiant. Look, for many, it's a game where you just want to romp around in a lobby like it's the good old COD days, you know? Get some kills, blow some steam with your buddies after a long day at work, and just leave it at that. But let's be real, there's also a certain dopamine hit that comes from topping the leaderboard at the end of a match. So, let's talk about how you get there. G'day there once again viewers, your mate Kamikaze78 here, and today I want to talk about some of the tangible things that you can start doing in your gameplay in XDefiant to become an absolute menace in your games. So guys, I will admit, it is very easy with these types of videos to just simply go, click heads, get good, problem solved, like, subscribe, have a nice day. And while there's an element to that is true with every single first-person shooter game out there, I really wanted to do a video that actually puts a lot of you to task when you next log into the game. You know, give you some actual things that you could take away from this video here today that will legitimately make you better at the game in some way with some practice. Now, a lot of these tips are going to sound pretty simple or rudimentary, or even feel like a bit of a, well, duh kind of moment. But when you put some thought to them and when you combine them all together, they will form the building blocks that turn you into a true blue legend in games like XDefiant. So let's go through these tips, and I want to start off with what is going to be the most obvious one of the bunch here, but one that is also super important, and that is how you should be improving your aim in XDefiant. XDefiant's lengthier time to kills in combination with its higher end movement speed and, you know, movement freedom that's available to players in the game places a big importance on the skill of aim tracking. Being able to get your crosshair onto target initially, yes, but then being able to maintain that in an engagement as you and your opponent try to outmaneuver each other. The skill of initially flicking accurately to a target is all well and good and all, but is less rewarded in XDefiant unless you are using a one-shot weapon like a sniper or a shotgun. The longer time to kills of most other full-auto weapons in the game require consistency with your aim over longer periods of time. So having your settings dialed in a way that allows you to accurately and effectively track moving targets without you janking back and forth and making overcorrections to your aim is going to be critical in a game like XDefiant. Now, me personally, I've got my DPI and sensitivity settings on the screen here if you'd like to use them as a reference. They are certainly on the slower end of things, and I know that there are players out there who go even slower than this, but at the end of the day, a slower sensitivity does afford greater precision in your aiming adjustment while tracking those moving targets, which again in XDefiant is so damn critical. But believe it or not, guys, that's my only really mechanical tip for this video here as far as, like, you know, your mechanical skill as a player, because let's be real, those skills are learnt over time and with exposure to the game that you're playing. They are not something that you can simply watch a 10-minute YouTube video on and then suddenly become a god tier player with. But the next tips I want to go through are more on the lines of game sense and building up a better understanding of how you can read the environment in your match and use it to your advantage. Which leads me on to the first big game sense thing that I want to talk about in this video that I see so many players of XDefiant simply not understand. That is understanding audio cues across the game. While XDefiant's audioscape is far from perfect, there are a lot of dead giveaways, including footsteps, that can quickly inform you of an enemy's location. But footsteps are of course the obvious one. Believe it or not, a lot of the ultimate and tactical abilities available to the factions also give off really distinct audio cues that can inform you of an enemy's position, or even give you ample warning of times where you should just simply get the hell out of dodge. For example, Echelon intel suits will give off audible pings when they are nearby you, giving you a directional indication as to where that suit is pinging you from. Echelon cloaking suits also give off a certain humming sound when they are nearby, giving them away if you know what to listen for. Libertad healing abilities also give off very distinct audio cues when they are activated. So, say you're engaging a Libertad operative and they break line of sight from you, if you hear that healing ability activate around the corner, then chances are you are now on the back foot for their fight, as they have been able to heal themselves back up. So using that as critical information to decide when to and when not to push will go a long way. You can also hear DedSec spider bots sneaking up behind you as well if you've got a good ear out. And to be completely honest with you, the less I have to deal with these little fuckers, the better, so you can bet your ass I'm keeping my ear close to the ground for those things nowadays. The point being, guys, that the audio in this game does carry a lot of information back to you as the player that can inform when you push, retreat, and what type of abilities you're dealing with in your near proximity. And one of the key things that these audio cues can help you to understand is when to not overextend yourself in this game. Overextending yourself in any first-person shooter game is already going to punish you regardless, but in XDefiant in particular, it's extremely punishing purely thanks to the time to kill of this game. Once you are in a fight in XDefiant, it is very difficult to get out of, and I will admit, part of that is due to the current desync issues that we are experiencing in the game, and the fact that death around corners is more common than we'd care to see. If you catch yourself hesitating as to whether or not your fight or flight instincts are going to prevail in the moment of time, more than likely than not, if you choose flight very late in an engagement, you're simply going to die around the corner if your opponent keeps landing shots on you. So to not overextend as such, whenever you are pushing corners or pushing objectives, pushing lanes, whatever the case may be, you need to make sure that you have yourself an out. The ability to quickly break the line of sight of an engagement should you need to do so. And that decision needs to come very quickly from yourself. And as you tune your fight or flight instincts in playing the game, then that decision will come easier to you over time as well. You're going to get this wrong quite a lot. But regardless of having that plan B and having that out, if you will, you also really need to make sure that you aren't picking fights with more than one target at a time. Games with higher than average time to kills absolutely punish players who get into 1v2 situations just by the sheer magnitude of how much that time to kill is cut down in favor of those who have adopted the safety in numbers tactic. You would need to be out DPSing the two players in that 1v2 situation something fierce to come out on top, which again will come with practice over time, but it's not something you should be aiming to do over and over again. So for example, if you do spot two targets coming away, isolating one of those targets by breaking the line of sight with other using cover might be the way to turn the tides in your favor. Turning a 2v1 into two sets of 1v1s will go an extra long way in improving your survivability with the game. And achieving that may be as simple as not jumping around every single corner you see and maybe taking one or two of them a little bit slower. Spawn points in this game can also be pretty nutty, so hanging around in an area where enemies are constantly spawning is likely to get you killed as well. Pushing so far ahead to the point where you're in the enemy's spawn is not always the end game here because it's going to see you get overwhelmed pretty quickly. On that note of pushing ahead not always being the key here as well, unpredictability is key here in XDefiant as well. Most of the maps in this game are solid in design and they offer ample opportunity for flanking. Sometimes the shortest route to the enemy from your respawn point is not always the best. It will lead to head-on engagements, and while yes, that is a lot of fun to do, what's even more fun? Getting the flank in and scoring 3 kills instead of 1 against unsuspecting targets. Using your minimap and general knowledge of the maps that you're playing on to inform how you're going to do these flanks is key. Again, something that will come with time as you learn the maps and learn the flow of how they play, but the minimap has a lot of knowledge out of the gate that will help you make said decisions. If you look at the minimap, you'll see where your allies are. By the simple rule of subtraction, where your allies aren't, your enemies will be. Use that as information to inform how you're going to flank and how you will poke holes in the enemy's front lines to, give your team the win towards the objective, or just simply score more kills for yourself. It's a whole lot easier getting kills in this game when your enemies aren't shooting back at you, I can tell you that much for free. But while we're here, I also want to talk about one very big tip, one very big thing that will take your gameplay in not just XDefiant, but any first-person shooter to the next level once you start mastering it. That being target prioritization. If you are ever presented with a situation where you've got 2 or more enemies in front of you, then you are always going to be presented with a bunch of decision gates that will decide whether or not you live or die in that fight. And in XDefiant, those decision gates, if you will, come down to the following terms. Number 1, who is an immediate threat to you? Who's looking at you, who has their weapon drawn, or by comparison, who's looking away, who's reloading, or who's simply, I guess, AFK in a way. Number 2, who is likely to have the most threatening abilities that can react to you quickly that demand your immediate attention. They may not have them active right now, but you never know. Are you dealing with a cleaner that's in close quarters, or have you got a Libertad that may have their healing ultimate ready? And number 3, what weaponry is the target in question using, and what range are you engaging them at? If you're looking at someone who's rocking an SMG but they're sitting at a greater distance, chances are they're not the immediate threat by comparison to their buddies standing right next to them using a sniper rifle, for example. It's a lot to consider in the microseconds that you'll have to make these decisions, but making the right ones will ensure that you catch the immediate threats out and deal with them quickly, and then the rest of the targets who are simply unaware or don't have the kit to deal with you effectively will be easy pickings comparatively speaking. And look, like all of the tips we've gone through before, this is all going to take time. You are going to get this wrong a whole hell of a lot before you start getting it right, especially while you're learning the mechanics and the intricacies of XDefiant as a game. But this immediate decision making is absolutely huge, and once you start getting it right, you will start seeing your flanks turn into 1 to 2 kill flanks to entire team wiping opportunities that will bring your team closer to those objective plays. As I've said, guys, when you look at all these tips and tricks from a very surface level perspective, they are simple and rudimentary in nature. But in aggregate, when you start combining them, when you start putting them all together and start thinking about them critically in your gameplay, they are all building blocks that will make you a better player in not just XDefiant, but every first-person shooter game that you play in the future as well. They are transferable skills that you tweak slightly depending on the game that you are in fact playing. And look, there are probably more that I could go over in the near future, and if you'd like to see me do some more in-depth guides, guys, then leave a comment down below and like this video. But for now, those were what I consider to be the most important building blocks for improving your gameplay in XDefiant. Now, if you guys have your own tips and tricks, share them in the comment section down below, and be sure to like the video, guys. It does go a long way to supporting the channel. Get subscribed if you want to see more XDefiant content and other first-person shooter content as well. We've got a lot in the works, and I can't wait to share it all with you all. And also, come check out our Twitch channel, first link in the description as always. It would be great to have you guys join that side of our community there as well. Once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.